Many people have been writing in and asking about the use of alcohol. Should a Christian use alcohol? Is it okay to drink alcohol? And it's a very important question and a good question. Now, let me say this to start with. To use alcohol is a decision that is very serious, because it's obvious that alcohol can be easily abused and misused and can cause great damage to people's lives and impair our judgment terribly if we use it inappropriately. So you say, is it okay to use alcohol? Well, let's start with the very basic premise. The scripture says that to be drunk is a sin. So right off the bat, we know that to abuse alcohol, to use it to the point of abuse and inebriation, where we're not having control of our mental faculties and impairing our judgment, that is a sin, and that's wrong. And of course, obviously, long-term use of alcohol, it can destroy someone's life. So we have to look at it from that perspective first and realize there are dangers in the use of alcohol. But then, on another hand, what does the Bible say? Well, there are a lot of folks out there who are very legalistic and teetotalers, and who are very much against alcohol use and consider it a sin for someone to, say, sit down to dinner and have a couple glasses of wine with their meal, or a beer with their meal, or any kind of liquor for that matter, in moderation. And to be honest with you, the scripture does not condemn the use of alcohol in moderation. It does condemn the abuse of alcohol. Now, there are some people who hear this, even though it may be allowable for certain people to use alcohol, there are certain people that should never use it because they have a problem with it, and it can cause damage to their life. So again, this becomes an issue of personal liberty. We see in the Bible that at the wedding at Cana, Jesus turned the water into wine, and the people drank, and they were very happy. He didn't seem to have a problem with them drinking wine. And of course, many of our fundamentalist brethren try to convince us that it was just grape juice. But it was a Jewish wedding. The folks were very happy. They were having a good time. They were drinking real wine, fermented wine. And then we also know in the Old Testament that the psalmist said, David, the Lord gives us wine to make our hearts merry. Now that's a strange verse if God's against the use of what? Alcohol. I'm sure that God's against some people using alcohol because they can't handle it. I'm sure he wouldn't want young people who have not matured in life to use it or abuse it. For anyone, for that matter, to abuse it. But, for a person who does not have a drinking problem, to enjoy a beverage, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not sin. In Mark chapter 7, Jesus told us that it's not what goes into our mouth that defiles us, but it's what comes out of our what? Heart. Adultery and fornication and lying and hatred and thievery, these are all sins that come out of our hearts. But if we eat certain types of meats or vegetables or drink certain kinds of beverages, that doesn't defile us. He says it goes out in the draft. In other words, it passes through your body when you relieve yourself, to be honest with you. So it's not going to defile you. So anything you eat or drink is not going to defile you or cause you to sin. Now, if you abuse anything, we know, of course, that would be a sin. To eat too much food is called gluttony, and that's a sin. So we have to be careful in this. Again, if you say to me, give me a straightforward, quick answer, is it okay to use alcohol? I would say yes. But I would also clarify that by saying, if you can handle it, and if you use it appropriately, and if you don't abuse it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see the scripture condemning it. And I know a lot of the other preachers will get on my case about that, and a lot of our legalistic brethren will get upset about that and condemn me for saying that as if I'm promoting. I'm not promoting the use of it. I grew up in a family where culturally you made wine. It was a traditional, cultural thing. We drank it at the dinner table, special occasions. Nobody was an alcoholic. Nobody abused it. I don't see anything sinful about that. And Jesus didn't either. He took wine with the apostles many times when he ate with them, and of course even at the Last Supper, he drank wine with them. So again, what I would say is this. It's something to be thought about very seriously, to make the choice to drink, and it should never be abused. But neither should we take a legalistic approach and say that anybody who drinks is sinning, because no, they're not. A person can consume, several drinks of any type of alcoholic beverage and not be drunk and not be impaired in their judgment and be fine. So they can handle it. So that's their decision between them and God, and we ought not judge them. Scripture says, don't judge your brother and meat or drink. If they choose to do it, receive them and accept them. And if you choose not to do it, they should respect your viewpoint on that. And I think I'd kind of leave it right there.